Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar today. My name is Alexandra Alvarado. I'm the Director of Marketing and Education here at the American Apartment Owners Association. So glad that you could join us today. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. We have a fantastic topic ahead of us. I know all of us have, at some point or another, struggled with collecting rent from tenants. If that's not you, then you're pretty lucky. But there are definitely some tools and tricks that we can use now in our modern day that can help with that kind of rent collection and also your finances, right? So if you're sort of, running around not really sure what's going on in your portfolio, there are ways now that you can really maximize that transparency and make better decisions. And that's why today we wanted to bring on with us our speaker, David. He is from DoorSpot. But before I introduce David, I do want to just mention a few things that we normally go through. This webinar is being recorded, so you all will be able to view it tomorrow. I'm going to send it to you via email. You're also going to get a copy of the slides and also any offers or the speaker's contact information so that you can follow up with them if you do need anything or if we don't get to your questions. We are going to plan to go through a bit of a presentation, and then we'll have some time for questions. So please put your questions in the question box so that we can keep better track of those. And in the chat would be more just to have discussions, but we will be addressing the questions in the question box first. And so if you do want your question answered, please put it in there. And again, if we don't get to it, we'll be sure to follow up with you after this. So I want to tell you a little bit about our speaker today. We have with us David. He is a serial entrepreneur who has been working for over 12 years in the prop tech and accounting space. His launch of DoorSpot in 2023 is the culmination of all of this experience, bringing superior web-based software solutions to landlords and property managers. He truly is a problem solver, and I think having experienced a lot of these issues firsthand, David, you are really a great fit to do this webinar and also to have DoorSpot really help landlords as well with their issues. So and I don't think I mentioned, but he's also the CEO of DoorSpot. So I will be going ahead and taking off my video, and I'm going to hand it over to David to take it from here. Thank you so much for coming on to speak to our group.
Thank you as well. And thank you all for showing up today. We're excited to show you around DoorSpot and show how we can help you stop chasing tenants for rent and keep your finances in order. So definitely, if you have any questions, please put those in and we'll get those answered for you as best as we can today and make sure we get those before we close out. So yeah, let's just dive right in. So first of all, DoorSpot, as mentioned in the bio, we've been in and around this space for over a decade. Have worked in a lot of different vertical SaaS solutions and really focusing around how to bring that all in one. One of the things we all have to deal with very, very frequently nowadays is that we need a lot of solutions to solve our problems. And so that's really DoorSpot's focus is we want to bring it all together in one seamless package so that you can really save time and be more efficient to get the job done and save a lot of money in the process. And so really we're bringing all your tools, whether it's finances, rent collection, communication, all of that in one place to keep that much simpler for you. So the topics we do want to cover today is really around improving how you're collecting rent, taking a lot of that load off of you, and then how are you effectively communicating that, whether it's around rent collection, whether it's dealing with tenants and other aspects. As Alexander mentioned, we all have struggled with collecting rent, but there's also a lot of other scenarios where you are communicating with tenants, whether that be around solving problems in the space or just to get things set up. So we want to cover how we tie all that together. And then wrap that up with how we manage your invoices and your total financial picture. So that way you can do all of that without the need of multiple solutions working seamlessly together, which ultimately will save you in the long run. So late rent, we've all had to deal with it. It wastes your time. It definitely wastes money because you're out having to chase this. And so ultimately what you want is you want the system to be automated. You want a system that is going to work for you. You set it up once. It's handling all your notifications, reminders, assessing fees. Hopefully you don't have to do that. But in case they are late, continuing to work to collect that rent on your behalf. You want all that to happen seamlessly without you needing to intervene or chase someone down. Uh, the next thing is around reaching people via their communication channels that they prefer. So different generations, different groups of people. Some like emails, some want phone calls, some want text. We want to make sure that you can communicate with them how they expect, and that will help engagement, which makes the whole process simpler and ensures that they come more frequently, take care of things in a timely manner, and ultimately makes you more efficient in the process. And so we really want to focus that. And then that wraps back around to that invoicing problem. So at the end of the day, again, we want this to be automated and we want this to fall seamlessly into your entire bookkeeping system. So that way, when we get to your expenses and other things, you have a clear financial picture of your entire investment and your portfolio of properties. So let's talk about simplifying rent collection. First things first, you want it to be automatic. You want to set it and forget it. You want to know that people are getting billed when you say they're going to get billed. You want to make sure they're being notified, giving those little nudges along the way. You want to make sure they have all the information they need to quickly pay, and that when anything does go wrong, they're still getting these little reminders and they're getting it where they expect, right? You don't want to get I didn't get your phone call, or I didn't see your email, or I didn't. So you want to allow them to be able to set up how they want their notifications. And you want to make sure that they're delivered timely and that you have a record. So that's step one. And then you want to be able to notify. You need real-time information when that does eventually happen, and you do miss a rent payment or you miss something. You want to know, so that way you can see the things in action. You can monitor the event. Again, we want to be able to automate those reminders. We want to be able to automate the collection, but we want you to be in the loop so that way you're aware and you have that clear picture. Another thing that we've really been focusing on is around how they pay. So currently we are supporting cards and ACH, but we're constantly working to add new payment methods with a few new ones coming over the summer. Some of those are digital wallets. Others are some other various payment methods that we'll be releasing very soon. And this is really to just ease that process and ensure that you're being able to collect rent effectively. So that's where our focus is today, and really pulling that up. And then at the end of the day, all of this needs to tie back together with your bookkeeping. So really just being consistent, making the end of the year and taxes very simple and easy. We want to make sure that the entire system is giving you a full picture so that you can always see where you stand, how your properties are performing, and bringing all that together in one simple solution. So you no longer have to collect rent in one system, communicate with your tenants in another, and then go out and have another solution for your bookkeeping and pulling that in. One of the big focuses in the system, as I'm going to keep telling you, is around that. We want to make sure that you don't have to deal with the subscription fatigue anymore. Everything is in one system, and that you can see it all work together very smoothly, which is going to give you a much better experience over time. So one of the things that we bring up here, and what I want to show you, is really around that invoice scheduling and how that works. You will see you get a lot of flexibility in this. You can build out custom invoices This will allow you to also effectively, if you have multiple tenants in a location, you will be able to invoice them independently or together, split that however you want. You get that true flexibility of how you want these notifications set, the timing of those events, how you want to handle fees or anything that could happen after the fact. And we just want to make that extremely simple and seamless across the platform. Next step, and I will kind of keep an eye on chat and the Q&A. If you all do have questions, feel free to jump in and we will try to get those answered along the way. And then I'll definitely have open time for questions near the end. Second part about this, to really keep that engagement with your tenant to make sure they're happy. And if they're happy, they're probably paying and doing other things on a much more timely fashion, is around the communication. Communication is extremely helpful when times are good. It just, again, keeps the tenants very happy with your system and that you are interacting with them and they're happy to be in the location. But it also is extremely helpful when things are not going well. Again, with the system, you are going to be able to automate a lot of your communications and notifications. One of the things we also provide in that is when these notifications do go out, you will have a true history of all the communications that are being sent with that tenant. We also provide you a phone number internally to the system, so that way, and an email address, so that way all tenant communications that are going out, not only are they recording, but if they respond, you're going to get that back in a single unified inbox. And this will be similar to other systems that you've seen that are not around your properties, but you get the simple unified inbox that handles email, text, however they message you. And so that way you can immediately work with them however they are sending those in. And when you respond, they're going to automatically receive that communication in the same channel. And so this means if a tenant texts you a question, texts and says, I'm going to be 3 days late on my rent, I have a problem with the water, whatever they're doing, you're going to get this in one system, as well as tied in with the automated reminders. And when you reply, it's going to go back in the exact same channel as they sent it to you. And so this really helps that engagement factor and the happiness of your tenant. So we do provide that. The second is really around broadcast. So on the occasion that you need to send out group messaging to everyone involved, this will allow you to actually send these out. Again, each one is going to be sent out individually and in their individual audits. And that will allow you to simplify that and respond where needed, again, within that same channel. Yeah, at that point, we do provide what we call the tenant journey. And this is incredibly useful when bad things happen, when you are not receiving rent, but also in the good times when you just need to go back and look to see what happened. We give you a running history of every event with that tenant. And this is for you all. The tenants do not have access to this, but it provides you a running record of every communication, every invoice, every payment they've made, maintenance request, everything included in the system will all be here in a timeline. So that way you can see and drill down into each one of these events to always have a full history of the activity that has went on per tenant. And then coming soon, we are releasing AI assisted messaging. So that way, over time, as you are communicating with these tenants, as you get common questions, as certain events happen in the system, we can give you options to give you pre-configured responses, right? And again, this is really around saving your time and ultimately your money on being able to respond quickly. It'll provide more consistency and convenience. So that way, as it learns your voice and you respond, you can continue to be more consistent across all of your tenants when answering the same questions over and over, or if you need prompted along the way. So again, really focusing on reaching tenants where they are, delivering notifications in their preferred channel, being able to respond to their preferred channel, and being able to handle all of that through a phone number provided to you and an email address provided to you through the system so that you're not sharing personal numbers or anything like that allows this all to be seamless and again, unified in one system. So that way, whether you're looking at rent, need to dive into how you've communicated this or further into the bookkeeping, you get all of that in one unified interface, which makes seeing the entire picture very simple.
Great. Yeah. And David, I
Um,
pulled up that poll question to see how
yes,
many individuals here on the webinar are using broadcast communications, which is just so simple here to talk to a large group of the tenants. And it looks like 19% said yes and 81% said no. So a lot of you still aren't using that feature. And I certainly think that's I mean, extremely useful if you have to just send out something real quick to everyone. So I'll leave that up there just to show you all the results of the poll.
absolutely. Thank you. And yes, broadcast messaging is definitely a specific tool for a specific job, and that is why we provide you both. Right, you can have real time one-on-one communication with all of your tenants, and the broadcast tools. That way, whichever need you're trying to meet at that time, you get that. And again, just to keep repeating myself, all pulled together with all of your other data. So when you're talking to a tenant, you ensure that you have the full picture in front of you at any time. Um, Great. We will jump on. So then the next is how we kind of bring this all back together. And ultimately, at the end of the day, your books are extremely important. So as we've already discussed, really automating that bookkeeping and payment portion, that's the day to day. That's how we're managing all of these properties and really seeing the cash flow come through to continue to maintain and grow the portfolio. As we continue to do that, that's one side of the picture, as we all know. The other side is also your expense management, how these are being pulled in. So with our finance and bookkeeping, as Alexander mentioned, this is really where we've lived for the last 10 to 12 years. And so we really bring that all together. So all of your payment and invoicing history obviously is seamless within your bookkeeping system. We also integrate with multiple systems to pull in real-time transactional data. We allow you to manage all of your books in a way where you can associate every expense automatically with the correct property or unit, or however you need to associate that. Your chart of accounts will be set up to match your Schedule E or other schedules out of the box, which saves you a lot of time, and your accountants will be very happy. And we pull all of that in and we simplify that. Now, our system will learn over time as you come through and you classify transactions. It will learn your habits, it will learn patterns, and it will gradually start doing this for you. In that sense, that would still require a manual review. It will make suggestions. But at that point in time, you also are able to specify this is a rule, and that way you can set that rule to really automate away your bookkeeping process. And ultimately, that's where we want to see you go over time, because it reduces errors. It saves you a lot of time, and it'll just guarantee your books are really clean and making the end of the year very easy. So that's the big picture, is that you want to see the entire financial picture with the interaction, with the communication, and tie this together. One thing we're not talking about today, but the finance system and the expensing system also work seamlessly with all of our maintenance and inspections and service requests kind of things going on in the system as well. So you will get that entire picture at all times. One thing that you are going to see here again is the seamless unified experience. We truly are an all-in-one solution. Now, I'm sure plenty of you on this call today are using other solutions. Many of them, you're doing one of two things. You are either using a solution that is integrated with an accounting platform, and therefore you may be paying one subscription, but truly you are paying two, since they are typically just upselling another service and you're having to jump back and forth, or using a partial integration to see classification and a report. everything with DoorSpot is in-house. And so therefore we guarantee the experience through this. It is entirely unified and entirely in-house. So that way you are paying one subscription. We are not having to upsell an additional cost. And so that really does save you additional time, money, and just gives you a much easier experience as you're managing these properties. And so bringing it all back together, again, talking about the unification. As you are managing these properties, you're going to see that at the end of the day, your bookkeeping ultimately is your source of truth as you go. We really want to simplify that rent collection process so that your tenants are happy, and more importantly, you're happy, and that you're able to automate that away. We want to remove all those needs where you're having to constantly reach out. We want to give you the flexibility to where you are able to deal with rent however you need to, whether it's partial rent for 1 month, whether it is splitting rent between a group of parties, whether that is alternating months, whatever flexibility you need, down to being able to bill on a day, week, month, or year basis. However you need to do that, we want to provide you all that flexibility. We want to give your tenants the flexibility to be able to pay however works best for them. We want to make that process extremely easy. We want to make sure they're aware of what's upcoming, when they're going to receive it. If something happens and they are late, we want to make sure they know. We want to make sure they know if there's fees or will be fees in the future. We want to handle all of that for them, and we want to constantly be able to notify them and make sure they're up to date. At the core of it, we want to be able to save you money. Part of that is through your time. Part of that is actual cost, right? We want to simplify this to where you no longer need multiple subscriptions. We don't want you to have to deal with a lot of different services, try to download data out of one, put it in another, get it to your accountant in another. We want to bring everything in-house. And at the end of the day, when questions arise, whether from your accountant, whether from a tenant, unfortunately, whether you have to do an eviction, in all of these situations, we want to give you the flexibility to have all the data you need at the touch of a button. And then we want to make sure that during all of those various processes, you can communicate with who you need to and have a record, and also do it within the system so that way you're not having to share personal email addresses, personal phone numbers, that you're reaching people where they want to be reached, and that you're able to do it whether it's in broadcast or one-on-one format. So we want to bring all that together. So at this point in time, I went a little quicker than I wanted to. I apologize. But I do want to open up for some questions. We can dive back into some of the other slides. I'm going to put some things on the screen. We can also show some things. So I want to kind of open this up for communication.
Yeah, absolutely. I did have another poll question that I wanted to launch here. Oh, I see you pulled up the Q&A email as well. So feel free to grab that email, guys, if you want to message David directly there or join
Absolutely.
DoorSpot. So one of the poll questions we had here was, how do you get the majority of your rent payments? You can select all that apply here. So, I know for a long time, obviously cash and check were our go-tos. So curious to see here if any of you are doing any sort of credit card rent payments, which is interesting as well. So I'm going to leave that up for just a little bit. We did get a question that came through about any sort of legal resources to collect late rent payments. So I know Scott gave a really detailed answer there in the chat, but really, I think he said it very well that, it's really about keeping a record, that's what's going to help you ultimately. Did you want to add anything on to that, David?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, right? So to that question, as you all are aware, every state, every locality can have their own legal standard around that. And so for us, we want to provide you all the tools to meet whatever your standard is. And at the end of the day, we're not lawyers, and those laws do change. And so we always advise you to reach out to legal counsel in those situations. And we just want to make sure you have all the information that you need through that. So that's really our focus. And I think Scott did a great job covering, but I'm glad to answer any further on that topic.
Okay, great. Gloria asked, I have a water utility billing system that I use that has a tenant sign in and they have a credit card on file. How would you integrate that?
So Lori, let me ensure that I'm understanding. You have a utility billing system that you are bringing in the invoices from that, and
Yeah.
that they have a credit card system on file. So we can do a couple of things. Typically, how we handle that, it's livable. Okay. I was not going to share this in this presentation today. It was coming up. We're actually in the process of working with Livable right
Oh,
now. So if you
great.
follow along, that is a partnership that we are actively integrating and working on right now. So that would actually be extremely seamless. So that one, Gloria, that one's actually really simple. You won't have to really change anything. However, to everybody else, we do have some flexibility in there. If you're not using Livable or that kind of system, the way we're typically handling it is that we do handle multiple ways that you can disperse funds. And, and so with that, we are, you can import invoices from anywhere, wherever that is, and you can have us invoice through our system with the same timing with everything, collect and then disperse payments how you need. So that's our most flexible mechanism, is that we allow you to bring invoices in from other systems, collect and then disperse out, whether ACH or to yourself, and then you pay them in a different way. So we give you flexibility in that we really want to be able to work with anybody in any situation in that regard.
Well,
If
that's
that didn't answer your
awesome.
question, Gloria, definitely
I think
jump
that
in.
answered that question, and I'm very excited to hear that you're working with Livable. We've heard of Livable. Maybe some of you have been on their webinars as well with us. I did want to bring up, the poll question results here. So it looks like actually the majority of you are doing ACH from bank, and then second place is check with 41%, cash 15%, and credit card 6%. So what's cool about that is you mentioned you could really use any of those methods with the system to bookkeep. So, regardless of what you're using, you could do it there. But it does really facilitate the credit card and ACH transfers for you, and really puts them all in one place. So I think that's part of the advantage. Maybe you might even see more credit card payments come through that way as well.
Absolutely. We do actually see quite a split in the system. ACH is still by far the
Mhm.
majority. And obviously we give you some flexibility there. One topic, I'm shocked no one has asked this question yet, but one topic always comes up is like the fees around cards and ACH. We do have a small fee on ACH. Right now we are at $1.50. And then we allow you to offer that as free to your tenants, or you can pass that through, and that is your choice. So we do allow the flexibility there again to kind of customize how you present it to your tenants.
That's great. Miriam asked, do you notify the landlord if the rent is past due?
So Miriam, that's a great question. We do. But we also go a little further than that. So in the system, we provide you flexibility. We have many notifications. And what we've learned is that some people prefer to be notified when that happens, others don't. Some of them like to look, on a schedule. So we give you the flexibility to set which notifications are important to you, as well as how you receive them. Do you want them in app, email, text, however you want them? So we give you flexibility to get your notifications in practically any event that occurs in the system, how you prefer it.
That's great. And then I think, what we can do from here, and some more questions might pop up.
Mhm.
David, if you want to share your screen and kind of show the platform around a little bit, we can maybe
Yes.
dive into that. I'm certainly curious to see it as well. I know really this is what you've worked so hard to do, which is to keep things super organized in this dashboard. And
Yes.
so there it is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and one thing you're going to notice here is we try to keep it extremely simple, right? On purpose. We want this to be quick, actionable, and simple is really our focus. And so, because we just had that question, um, let me actually kind of show you around some of the settings. So we do have all of your different communication settings, and this is what I was talking about that. We're going to provide you with a phone number and email address that is specific to you. We have help on how to set up an email forwarder so you can have the email look how you want, but that way everything is coming into the system. And then back to that notification setting, you are actually going to be able to go down through here and set which notifications that you want along the way, and varies on the access to your account what all notifications you have. Um, but that is one, and this is obviously demo data. But you can kind of see how that flows together. And then it looks like we do have one more question from Carlos that I want to hit to as far as training and account setup. So yes, we absolutely do offer these things, and I definitely want to touch on that. So we want to work with you during onboarding. We will ensure that we can assist in multiple facets, right? So we're absolutely going to be there with you as you onboard into the system, answer questions you have, and to make sure that you can get through that. Because again, being a seamless solution is really our top focus, and we want to make sure that it is seamless for you. But what we also allow is that we will assist you in transitioning data from other systems. So whether you have a different accounting system and you want to pull in all your past history, whether you have previous invoices, your properties, units, and your tenants themselves, however you're pulling that data in, whether it's in one system or multiple, we will work with you, and our sports specialists will work with you to ensure all that data gets imported in a timely fashion during your onboarding. And then we're always here for support. We definitely want to get you set up in the beginning, and we do multiple calls with you. But then we're always going to be here, and you're going to be able to reach a person to jump on to help you through the problems.
That is so helpful just to have a real person. I know a lot of you like using us because we actually answer the phone when you have a question. And I like that we also, have other companies that we refer you to that do that too. I mean, that's what we try to look for too. So that's really good news. And then also too, I think what's interesting is the service center as well. So like that's
Mhm.
often a pain point that I think, we go through, which is getting those maintenance requests, knowing what's happening throughout that process and letting the tenant know about it. So I'd love to see like also maybe some more features in
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
specific one. Yeah.
Let's tie this together. So first, just high level. So whether, obviously, with a lot of apartments, we're talking multifamily. So we support multifamily. We also, if you have single family properties, we support both across the board. And so we do give you just a quick view list of all your properties units and how you can filter these down. Um, and so we allow you to drill down in there, and you're going to get the full history of those. So this is just kind of our starting point. And as we match through, you're going to see even at the property level or the unit level. I'm sorry, I was going to jump to a property, but apparently I get nervous on a webinar, guys. And so I appreciate you sticking with me there. But so you can truly be at this level while you're working on things, or you're looking into a property, or you're sending a communication along the way. You can add your income expenses directly if you are wanting to do that manually, or if you have something pop up. So that is one thing that we support right out of the gate. I just want to show that how simple that can be. Because this is a demo account, we're not pulling in live transactions right now, but ultimately, this was showing the screenshot. We would love to chat with you after, and we can show you a live screenshot with some live bank accounts that we are. But ultimately, we keep it extremely simple. As you've probably seen in other, you are able to review transactions. You can mimic these, and that way you are going to get a classification, and we allow you to build rules out and automate that process. And that's where you really see that come together of the expense and alongside your invoices. But then uh, ultimately around this, we do actually store, really where it starts is around that invoicing. And so we allow a lot of flexibility here. So you can do this per tenant. That way it is not necessarily per unit. We give you starting points to make this really easy. So that way, if you have rent set on a unit, you can obviously come in here, choose a tenant, and it's going to autofill a bunch of things for you. But we allow you to split that up. So if there's multiple tenants in a location, if there's, we've also seen this work a lot with Section 8, to where there could be multiple payers in there and you're splitting that cost across. We allow you to bring all of those in. You can invoice them independently and communicate with them independently, which is incredibly important around delivery, but also just keeping them happy, engaged with you, and ensuring your property is taken care of and paid for on time. So we give you a lot of flexibility there. And this is on a recurring schedule, but you can do the same in a one-off invoice scenario. It looks like we might have had one more question.
Yes, from Gloria about credit bureau reporting, which is becoming more popular lately. I've seen it, it used to not really be an option, to be honest, for most landlords, but it certainly can help encourage tenants to pay rent on time. So at least that's where I see really the most benefit, right? It helps their credit score if they pay. In some
Mhm.
cases, it could hurt them if they don't, depends on the credit reporting company. But yeah, would love to hear if you guys have any plans for that or already have it.
Yeah, so actually we're in twofold on both sides of the reporting, right? So we will run the report so that way you get credit scores and everything like that in advance. So as you're prospecting and going through the application process, we can run all your typical checks and get the existing credit scores. We are actually currently in process on the integration on us reporting those back out to the credit
Okay.
bureaus. That will be coming this summer, but it is a few weeks away. So I just wanted to set that up, but we are actively working on that right now. And then it'll be optional, right? So that way, that service will be provided available to the tenants. We will not auto report on their behalf. They can choose to have it reported in their situation. So we will give you some flexibility on how that operates over time.
That's great. Yeah. And I don't know if some of you know this. I'm sure you know this, David, but there's a lot of legislation now that is targeting these credit reporting requirements. So now they're actually
Mhm.
requiring
Yes.
landlords to do it. In California, if you own any sort of publicly funded housing, you have to offer the option to the tenants. And California will actually pay for the first year if there is a fee
Mhm.
associated at all. But it's really interesting because I've seen it actually pop up in other states as well. And I think what they're trying to do is help tenants build credit, which is good for them. But like I said, it really does also benefit you because you're able to,
Absolutely.
I mean, what incentive do they have, right? Like I can't believe, Rick, for so many years, rent hasn't ever even been a line item on a credit
Mhm.
report, right? Like a whole credit score, and they don't even consider whether or not they've paid rent. That's
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
I'm glad
so, and
that's changing.
that's part of our integration right now, obviously, is meeting these requirements and ensuring that we're giving you all the best tools available to do so.
Amazing. Donald
Yes.
asked in another question here if you also collect dues for condo associations.
Yeah, Donald. So, I mean, full disclosure, we're definitely focused in the rental space as a primary focus. So, a lot of our tooling is set up around rent and a lot of that. However, in the HOA or condo space, um, it's not a problem for us to manage that, right? So, we can absolutely do that because we're not forcing it to be a rent is tied to a property and it has to go to a list of tenants. What you are going to see, I just want to be completely transparent with you. I don't want to set the wrong expectation. What you aren't going to see is that some of the labels in the app right now, they're still heavily rent targeted. So with that flexibility you saw in invoicing, you could absolutely list all of your properties in a neighborhood or in a condo building, and you could list each owner or resident at that point and then bill them monthly or quarterly or yearly or however your condo association operates. That comes with that flexibility of invoicing, and you would still have all your books and could customize that however you need if you're trying to file an 1120 form or something like that at the end of the year. So you're going to still get that consistency within the system. The place where you're going to miss is sometimes you're going to click on something, and even though it's a resident, the label at the top could say tenant, and that is a disjointed experience to me right now. It is something that we're considering going forward. As you know, the bookkeeping is slightly different between the communities and rentals. So we're heavily targeted on the bookkeeping portion to the rental space right now. But our system 100% does accommodate the collection of dues and fees within those communities.
That's great.
So yeah, jumping back in, and I am going to touch on the service center, Alexander, but just to touch on the topics that we already hit, this is what you see when you come in as those communications are going out. Those are automated reminders. Whether you're having to reach out, whether someone's filed a service request, however those communications are happening, this is truly what you're getting. Per tenant, you're getting a one-by-one message thread of all of the communications that you've had with that. And you're going to see as they include images, as they include video, if they're sending text messages from their phone, everything is threaded together in here. And the real key, again, is reaching people where they are, right? And because of that, if I send a text message to the system, you're going to see it in this interface. You're also going to see it in the little chat bubble up here as well. That way you always know what's unread. But you're going to see this in the interface. And then when you respond, it's going to go back to them however they send it. If it was an email, if it was a text message, if it was an in-app, whatever that is, they're going to get it back in the same format that they got it. So that way simplifies your operational aspect of it and ensures that they're getting a consistent experience on there. And then again, this one's going to be a long one because I chose a bad link, but history on the demo account is a little weird because we load a lot of history there, which is beyond scope, but you will just kind of get that click through. And then we do get alerts. So occasionally you are going to need things in the system. This goes back to the question we had earlier of, are you alerted if somebody misses a rent payment? Yes, you're going to get the notification channels you set. We do still always provide when you log in up in the alert bell at the top and here, you're going to be able to get that. And then as you're handling each one of these things, as new documents are generated or, you need to get something signed or there's a work order or you have somebody sign off on anything, we do keep everything in a document store too. So that way, again, everything is together and in-house. Service center, we will touch on that real quick. So we do handle all of your maintenance and inspections and everything together in one system. We are working with some partners right now, which we're going to be able to offer you a whole lot more in regards to this really soon. But ultimately, the core of the work order system will be 100% the same. And that's really what we want to simplify. So as a tenant needs to file a work order, if you are filing a work order, you're going to be able to do this in one place. You're going to see all the requests. And then we allow two different things. You can have your vendors that you are working with, or if you have on-staff maintenance folks that are actually in there helping you out, you can add your maintenance team into the system. And that way you can assign these work orders directly to them. We do have mobile apps directly for your maintenance workers as well to pull that up. So that way they can log on each morning, see what their work is scheduled, who they need to communicate with, and all of that. So we are supporting all of that together. And that, again, also includes your inspections. And so we allow you to create multiple inspection templates so you can do different layouts, you can do different rooms, you can do all of that. And it's a pretty simple interface. So that way you can go down through there and grade these along the way, provide images, provide all this. And again, this is from the mobile app. So that way you can score, the carpet's got a problem over here, you snap a picture of it. And again, this brings it back into that one seamless system to always have the full picture of the history of that tenant and that unit the whole time you've managed it. So we want to pull all that together. And again, this works with outside vendors or with an internal maintenance team, either way. And then we just allow you to handle all of that together.
Great.
Looks like
Yeah, a couple more questions came in from Tom. He's asking about the cost. I think briefly touched on that, but maybe we could go over it again.
Yeah. So with our cost, and you can see this definitely on the DoorSpot page. Click the link back. We'll share that back out at the end. Up to 35 units. We are 55.20 a month, paid annually, or $69 monthly. Over 35, we jump up a little in tiers, so it's 129 a month. Up to 75 units, 249 for up to 150, and then after you cross 150 units, we're $1.50 a unit. But again, one of our real focuses here is bringing that all together. You do not need additional subscriptions along the way. And even where you currently may be paying one or various pricing, a lot of times you'll see to add maintenance, to add accounting, to add various things, you're actually adding add-ons. Everything is included in DoorSpot. So all of that price is simplified. It's everything that we have today and also everything we're adding in the future. So simplified pricing.
Wonderful. Yeah. The other question, I think Scott is typing an answer, which is great. Do you want to address
Yeah,
that now or come back to it?
I can still touch on it. Scott will give you the nice version that's going to give you everything, and I'll just kind of hit it at a high note. So with the yearly notices, again, we handle that through some of our different communication templates and all that, so you get the flexibility to send those, and you can build your own templates and kind of send everything out through the system. And then and for lease renewals, the same. We also do handle all your online signatures for any of your leasing and your lease renewals and everything like that. So we do have all of that built into the system. Renters insurance, we also do offer renters insurance to all your tenants. They can purchase it directly where they're when they're onboarding onto the system, when they come to pay their rent. You, as the landlord, get to choose whether you want to require it or not. If you choose to require your rental insurance, then they're going to get the option to buy it as they get into the system and purchase it directly within DoorSpot, or they're required to upload and submit proof that you'll be notified about and that you can review before they're allowed to actually onboard into the system. If you don't require it, they can still do both of those things. They're just allowed to go ahead and onboard first. In any of those cases, as you get the insurance documentation, again, all of that will be tied into the document portal and tied directly to that tenant and unit. So that way you always have it at your disposal.
That's great. I mean, if you're not requiring renter's insurance, please consider it. It is
Yes.
so helpful, not just for the renter, but for you as well. You want to have that extra layer of protection so that if something goes wrong, the tenant isn't going to sue you first, right? They're going to probably try to go through their insurance. Insurance policies go up to a much higher amount than you might think. You know,
Yeah.
I think like the lowest you could possibly get is 10K, but most of the time it's like 20K or more of coverage. That's if like the tenant's property is damaged in any way through weather or, you know, even dog bites in some cases, slip and falls even. I mean, these are all things that that insurance can cover. And so if you aren't doing it yet, I highly recommend it. And then let's see here. Carlos asked a really good question going back to pricing as well. Do you have a special discount for today's participants? So we do, right?
We do. Yes.
So I think it was a question when you all registered. Carlos, you might have forgotten if you registered a while ago, but if you did answer yes, that you wanted a call, but to get the 20% discount, but I think that's still available regardless, right? We'll put that,
100%.
yeah. Okay, wonderful. So 20% off your entire first year, the whole year. So 12 months, right?
Yep, that's
Okay,
correct.
amazing.
That's correct. So we definitely love to chat with you and show you a little more about it. Obviously, every one of your use cases is slightly different, right? And the system is flexible. And so we want to be able to work back to the onboarding question we had earlier. We want to really work with you to ensure that you're succeeding within the platform and giving you that. So we want to jump on a call with you. You're going to get the 20% for the first year. And we're going to provide the link, which will automatically trigger you into it. You're going to get the emails following up after this presentation, but also you can just let us know you get to watch it and so it will make sure that you get that discount for the first year. And then we want to work with you to just ensure that onboarding and getting everything set up and building out your processes is as seamless as possible.
Yeah, and I want to make sure you guys know this isn't like a discount they're offering everybody. So I would definitely
This
take
is
advantage of it. It's for
absolutely
AAOA specifically.
Yes.
Mhm.
Great. Well, if we don't have any more questions, we would definitely love to chat with all of you and show how we can help you and really build out your system and utilize the platform to save you a lot of time and a lot of money in the process and really see you build your portfolio and just make the next year extremely smooth. And so I appreciate you all letting me talk to you today, and we definitely hope to hear from you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone, I will be sending the recording tomorrow along with the slides and also that 20% off for their first year offer. You'll also get David's information if you want to reach out with questions. So you're going to get lots of stuff after this from me. And so look out for that tomorrow. And then also, yeah, definitely check it out. Take advantage of the special offer and opportunity. And I hope that we will see you all soon again. And I also hope you all have a wonderful week. We are going to have another webinar again next week, next Thursday. So keep an eye out for that invite. And Carlos, you're welcome. He says, thank you for the presentation. Lots of useful information. I hope you all learned something as well. And we will see you next time.
Thank you all
Take
so
care.
much.
Bye.